You know how I feel. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. You know how I feel. You know how I feel. Ooh, 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 ooh. You know how I feel. You know how I feel. Ooh, 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 ooh.
hurt yourself. Don't ever wanna be somebody else when everything is bad as it can be. Never be angry. Be like water.
Okay, so can you guys hear me now? Can you hear my mic? Can y'all hear me talking?
Must be
This is hilarious. It's always on the night that I'm like, man, I'm gonna like. Can y'all hear my mic? Somebody say yes to Mike if you can hear me, Jesus. Okay, thank you. Jesus Christ. What is it, God, that you were trying to teach me? Holy shit, this is getting old.
I'm not your slave, I'm not the one who burnt you
Anyway,
fucked you up.
Sorry if I just yelled at everybody. Let me turn this music off now.
Broke you down, ask someone else.
Yeah, exactly. Audible breath in. Wow. Okay, y'all, there's always something. Big breath in. Sweet. Big breath in. Okay, I have a feeling that that was all made possible by the positive energy that you guys and my housemate and friend Sheila said over here, or just sent me over here. So I really appreciate that. We should be good to go tonight. It was cool to watch you guys say hello to each other. I don't really have a super big talk or anything. I went ahead and announced a few things on the like made some events on Facebook, which is my number one sort of profile page, so, or the number one thing that I follow. I try to post things on Instagram, but today I forgot to. I basically use Instagram as just a promotion site, but you can always count on every Monday and Thursday, and for a while I think every Sunday. I'm enjoying the Sunday slot. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but it's kind of working for me. Our viewership's not bad. It was like we averaged about 20 people, and then it crashed. And it was sort of funny because we were starting to peak when it crashed, but sorry about that. I really don't know what happened. Nothing happened on my end. It just went down. So every Thursday night, 7 o'clock, 4 p.m., if you ever want to see a replay, it's on YouTube. You just chime in there, or you just find me there. If you're watching this, it's HoopPath Spacebacks. On Twitch, it's HoopPath Backs. The same with my Venmo, my Cash App, and I'm trying to streamline everything into those words, those hangers. So what I wanted to do tonight, and so sometimes a lot of times in my local classes, I would sit down because they had been taking class with me for like 5 or 6 years, and some like 10 years. We've all been in class together, and so they kind of know the feel of the class, and so I would ask for like suggestions or requests or whatever. So what I thought I would do tonight is open the floor to that. If anyone has any, like a question, like something that they would like me to work on, no, rest assured, I have a class that I can do. We're going to do a flow-based class, like where we go from like, this is a shoulder song to this is a whatever song, and I'm going to give out pointers because I feel like teaching. But if you have a specific question, and I'm going to try to follow the comments really well if they're there, and if you have a specific question, then I will try to pay attention to it and answer it. And so as I'm talking right now, if you have something in mind that you would want me to work on, like if you said head hooping, or if you said like the example in my promo that like why does the hoop move and when I'm on an angle, or anything like that, then I'll write these things down and I'll start to put a class together that is different than the one that I have planned, but it's okay. I also wanted to ask you guys, maybe you're typing right now. If you're not, it's no big deal. What you thought about the jams, and I was curious if it would be best to just keep them like super multi-genre, or if you guys think it would be cool if we like played with different, like went deep into one genre, like types of house music or types of, pick a down tempo. So anyway. those are my questions. So I don't know if we're on a huge delay, but nobody's typed anything so far, so I'm guessing that you're going to do what my students always do, and they always just say, just do what you're going to do anyway. But anyway, thanks for sticking with me through all this. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let me know how the sound is. Hopefully the sound is going to be good. Hopefully you can hear me and I'm still alive. If you're watching on Facebook, I love it when you chime in, because Facebook's, hey, happy Monday. Breaks and paddles, okay? So we're going to talk about paddles on Thursday too, but I will totally talk about breaks and paddles. All right, somebody voted for certain music types. I thought it might be cool, you know. Okay, cool. All right, I'm sorry, guys, if you can't see what I'm seeing. Sweet. Thank you guys for the feedback on that stuff. And if you haven't watched the feed in a while, when I'm not on SoundCloud, which I won't be tonight, the titles of the music will be up in the top right corner. Okay. All right, we call that chi in the hoop. So Amber asked if we can move the hoop from place to place on the body, waist to legs, etc. Yeah, we can totally do that. Chi. All right. Anybody else got anything? I know we're on a delay. Some of you may be typing right now. I will be checking the comments so that we can move on. Waist. Yeah, I got you. Okay. We're going to start super chill. Okay, I'll talk about the keeping it level, but I am doing a paddle class in 4 days, so or on Thursday. So we'll talk a little bit about it because you might not be able to check it out, but keeping it level. Shoulders, okay. Okay, Sarah, thank you. Sarah says she's open to. Now, I really meant that for the jam, but we could totally do that for classes too, absolutely. Keeping it level, just make, oh yeah, and shoulders, which is basically breaks and paddles, because that's where they're more or less done the whole time. All right, Kelly giving us the thumbs up on this. Okay, we'll get going here. One, two, three, four, okay. Yeah, okay, that's the no graphs thing. That's point technique, actually. Okay. This is coming together. Okay, thank you guys. All right, let's, yeah. Oh, sweet. I think that's TJ from Twitch. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started. You can keep asking your questions. You can do whatever you need right now. And let me know how the music sounds. It's super easy for me to turn it up, to turn it down. I've got it kind of dialed in, I think. All right. Audible breath in. Audible breath in. I invite you to think of it as if you're coming home to the body with every breath in and out. That with every breath in, you settle in. find your legs, you find your hands. In a way, we are what we do. And so what we're doing is what we become. And I invite you to imagine becoming wind. And to do that, I invite you to focus on your breath in and out. If you're new to the class, this is called sway. And you move any way you want to. You could stretch. But I'd like you to focus, I invite you to focus so much on your breath that you become it. Okay. All right. Now we're going to move into the request that we had for the no grippy stuff. And so what you're going to do is you're going to grab a hoop. Really, for this kind of thing, any size hoop is perfect. And if you're not ready to jump into your hoop, you definitely don't need to. Yeah, sweet. Okay. So, but what we're going to talk about right now is called point technique. And tonight I'm planning on kind of doing these things while I talk to you about them. Point technique is when I am holding the hoop on the back of my hand. It can be anywhere as long as grip is not involved. So point technique is me holding the hoop anywhere that it just leans and hangs. In point technique, the hoop is more or less, either flying, standing, or hanging. This is the hoop hanging. And I like the hang technique. And I invite you to explore it with me where there's weight on. Audible breath in. you've been taking class with me for a minute and you want to maybe have it connected to point, or you just want to explore it more deeply, playing in point where I'm resting again, I'm hanging the hoop, it's hanging here, and I'm pushing it around. Especially for people like me that like slow motion flow. Point technique can actually be quite, and I don't mean this in a kind of weird way, but it can be very sensual. You can feel the hoop slowly move across. This is point technique. You can do some pretty cool, like, sort of, I don't know, I'm really bad on the lingo, but kind of, we used to call these sort of penny rolls. And they can be really fun to figure out in slow motion with point. Nice, Sheila. Push my hands up into the hoop, I get good control on the hoop, and I'm in point technique right now. If I think of the hoop as having a square in it, like if I could imagine that, then my hands are at the corners. And when my hands are at the corners of the hoop and point, it gives me like extra control, and I can do some pretty cool things just by holding the hoop in the corners that way, with a little bit of push out, but not enough that you push out this way. This is double point. And of course, with all things hoop, part of the fun is letting go and then reestablishing. Nice, Sheila. Reestablishing contact. I don't know if you have to be a movement geek, but it helps if you like my sort of form of teaching, because sometimes I like to take slow strolls through techniques with you so that you can find your own pretty things on that trail, that you can find your own nice spots to sit. So point technique is gripless, and anything goes that on the body for point technique. So I've got 2 points inside my hoop right now, hands folded out. I pull the hoop close to me. I've heard hoopers call this type of hooping contact hooping. Sweet. I'm glad you guys dug that. Usually I take no comments to be good news. Okay. So I want to talk. I've mentioned 3 different ways that point technique can hold the hoop, and there might be more, but these are the 3 that come to mind right now. And one of those ways is hanging. And I promise everything, there might be something that you're hoping that I'll get into about this point technique, but these things really are, all connected and related. So this is me hanging the hoop here. And of course I can start to get some axle shift on it by just pushing it around. I'm letting it sit on my arm and I'm banging it that way or banging it this way, right? And then I can move to the other arm and bang that way or whatever, okay? Now, what happens with this move and the other way that I was talking about with point technique is flying it. And so this is hanging, but the moment I start to move my arm, then point technique is really good for flying the hoop. And I don't even have to be, if I get dizzy easy, all I have to really do is just, figure out how to create a nice, powerful swoosh. I don't even have to turn, and I put the hoop into a nice, clean flight. Now, this is Monday night, so I'm very aware that most of you are probably have taken my classes and know where I'm going, so you just can go ahead and go where you know I'm going. But for everybody else, this is point technique. I can bring the hoop onto me from this technique. I can take the hoop off from me with this technique. But what I really like to do is just drill with this hanging here. One good way, if you want to teach yourself, how to thumb transfer, you can kind of learn, you can kind of learn some cool things, by going high to low. Your thumb will want to fall into the hoop, or it'll come up under the hoop. That's called a thumb transfer.
But she can't get high anymore. The twins in the desert.
This is flying the hoop and point, and it can be a lot of fun. No, I know that you can do the same thing if you grip it, but there's just a. But there is I'm just keeping up with the comments. But there is a sort of different feeling and a more honestly, it's kind of a more badass feeling when you're, risking every lampshade that you have in your room in order to hold the hoop and point. Now, this is a little bit advanced, but since this is Monday night, you can go from flying to hanging the hoop, and we've done this exercise before. I take a wide stance here. I know it looks like I have jeans on, but they're not jeans. I take a wide stance here, and this is an advanced move. I'm going to turn back so that I can uncoil, and so that when I uncoil, I'm going to come up to here and then pass the hoop off. But the goal is that I'm going to pass it off and then put it back into a hang. And the only reason I'm doing this is just to learn how to hold the hoop better. Okay? So I'm here, I'm going to come around, pinky to pinky, and then put the hoop back to sleep. I'll get a little closer, pinky to pinky, to sleep. And so if I was doing this more like in flow, of course you can change your feet, but this is me flowing up. And do you see how I'm going from a fly to a hang? And then, this is a little bit more advanced, but then I can add some of those movements back and forth here, and start to create just kind of lots of different energy. just using point. I'm not gripping the hoop or using my fingers. You can. There's no rules in hooping. You don't get kicked out of the park if you grip the hoop. Good. But this is the movement, just to make sure it's clear since we're doing it live. This is the movement that I really think it's kind of an advanced move, but you bring it around, pinky to pinky, back down, and you try not to touch it because I'm in point. When it's stopping, it's at point. Your hoop is bouncing side to side. Yeah, slow down. Like, what you have to realize is that when you come up, you don't need more energy. Like belief, strength, grace in the HoopPath system. Grace is the application of strength. Like, you have to have it to be graceful. It's like grace is knowing how much strength to use. And when we're learning to hoop, or we've been hooping, or until we think about it a lot of times, we never really think, we always think we need to put more on it. Sometimes it's better to pull off a little bit, to take the foot off the gas a little bit. So here, boom. So I'm going to bring it up with just enough gas on it to get it to where it's going. This is such a great song. Actually, let's start this over because I really was saving this song. I hope the song doesn't get us kicked off. I keep doing that. Okay, I hope you guys are following me here. All right, so we're on the waist, and I'm assuming if you're here on a Monday night, you probably can shoulder hoop, but if you can't, that's all right. You don't have to. That's not a prereq. If you're on the waist still, you can get something out of where we're going by just starting to work on paddles down there, putting the hand in the hoop and carrying it around. Okay, but here's what we're going to work on. We're going to come up to the shoulders. We're going to work on lifts and drop-ins at the shoulders. And you don't have to really be that good at shoulder hooping to really get this. And all you're going to do is you're going to bring your forearm up. We'll start with that. Or you can use your point hand, turn with it, and it's off. Okay? So I'm turning. Probably most of you can do this already, but if not, no shame in that. If you've never tried it, you definitely can't do it. Boom. Right? Good. Nice. So this is using that point technique of flying it, and this is what I'm hoping you can kind of work on in your flow, is bringing it off and on, and really feeling that point technique. Like, this is me. I can like feel resistance like the more I pull it to me and back. And if I have control at the corners, then I can really start to play with it and fold it and do some cool stuff. This is the flying it, double point, 2 points, flying it. This is from hang to fly. Tired, or if you're injured or something, it can be hard to do. But if you're feeling generally well, see if you can keep your feet and legs involved in what you're doing here. And then since this is the, I keep saying it, but since this is a black belt friendly class, this is a little bit ahead of where some of you might be at, but this is how much control I can get if my corners are controlled with point and I develop my touch there, right? Like I can literally walk the hoop without touching it. I can walk it up into point, right? All right, I don't know if we're still on Facebook. If we're on Facebook, will you shout out that last song? I think might get us kicked. I don't know. Okay, So, I don't know if anybody has any more requests, but we'll keep going and just stay where we were. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about on the shoulders here. Yeah, this is going to go great. Okay. So we're on the shoulders. If you're learning the shoulders, if you're in your first year of knowing how to shoulder hoop, just remember it takes a long time. Breakthrough with putting the hoop back to sleep. Nice, Jackie. Sweet. Okay. So I'm up here on the shoulders, and I'm going to be pushing out. And my arms, especially if you're learning, my arms are going to be in what we call mountain, okay? And this might be kind of a funky way to think about it, but you know, if you know what long exposure means, like when somebody is blurry within a photograph, what you would really try to be doing in mountain is creating, like if we took a slow exposure of you or a long exposure of you, that your arms would look like a mountain of whatever color shirt you're wearing underneath the hoop. So if we did a long exposure and your arms were here, then that's, you might not understand what I mean by mountain, then I should make myself more clear. You are moving your arms always to fill up what is a mountain shape underneath you. Now, if you really want to get cute and fancy with it, you can try to make your arms look like a more designed dance. But generally, if you're just rocking out, you're just going to want to keep pushing that out to make it look more fluid. All right. So let's bring some music on and try this out. This is the actually, I may have played this already in class. If I did, I'm sorry. Hopefully this won't get us kicked off. Again, thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. If there's anything happens to if you are on Facebook, if anything happens to the stream, you can hop over to YouTube and Twitch. All right, so I'm in shoulder hooping now. Now, since this is an advanced class, I'll offer some pro tips. One pro tip is to focus on your night side. The thing is that you've taught, your body has learned the front side of you, probably. Your body has learned the front side of you, and it has instincts there. It may not have those same instincts on the back, even though it runs across the back the whole time. It's almost like unless someone's recording, there's nothing, being saved and learned from there. And so by opening up the night side, that's the shoulder blades, you can really change your shoulders. You can really keep it level. We're just about to get into breaks and paddles, and I think we'll hit most of these things. Now, one thing that has helped me with shoulders is to focus on one arm. And once you have to get to a certain level with your shoulders, but it's almost like once you get to a certain level where you can keep the hoop up, then you can start to add little restrictions to it that'll sort of help you learn, like going rooted. Like if I learn to shoulder hoop, like if this is me being able to keep the hoop up in shoulder hoops, right? Then the next thing I might want to try is turning slower or taking just big turns. And then the next thing I might want to try is like dropping my shoulder down, see if I can get level and upright. Nice. And then this kind of helps me. If I try to keep my shoulders wide, if I try to push out with my shoulders that way, it helps me feel my back more. I think it presents the hoop to my back a little bit better, and I can get a lot of push. Because ultimately, what you want to imagine is that there's like these, directional arrows of push that are leaving your back and going through the hoop's contact. Oh, sweet, Amber. I'm glad you understood what I was saying about the mountain. That's nice. Appreciate that feedback. Again, I have a new rig now, or it's finally done, and I can turn music up really easily. I can turn my mic up really easily, so let me know if you need anything that way. As I've mentioned before, rotation, and I don't know if I don't think I'm using this exactly correct, but if my arms are cylinders, I can rotate those cylinders, I can rotate those pipes or whatever, like if I'm doing it with my hands. And so if I rotate them to what feels like out, or what I think is external rotation, if I rotate out that way, that opens up. All right, this is a perfect song for actually, let's talk a little bit about paddles. Yeah, so you can grab some water if you need it, guys, but let's talk a little bit about breaks and paddles. So I'm here. Let me make sure we're doing all right. Okay, we're starting to get tight on time. I'm up here on the shoulders, and more important than whether you do this and remain rooted, or whether you move your feet, that doesn't matter so much. But when you're, especially at the shoulders, when you're really trying to get it at the beginning, I think it's good and a nice like pro tip to focus on whatever hand is stopping the hoop, or particularly whatever side of the body that the hoop is being stopped on, to really root that foot. Okay, so if I was up here, if I'm down here on the waist, I'm going to the left. I'm gonna stop the hoop with my left hand. Okay, what's called a PM break. So as I stop it, I'm going to push, like energetically, I'm going to send my root, the ones that my Dan talk about, I'm going to send that root all the way center of the earth type depth. And then when I turn back, that root is still there and then comes up once I send it back, right? And so essentially what I'm saying is that if I'm breaking with the left hand, most of the time I'm using the same side of the body. If I'm breaking with the left hand, I plant the left foot. Or at least that's the connection, not the rule. And so when I stop the hoop, and if your hoop's really big, you might have to use the old school 2-point. That's actually a 3-point break. If your hoop's really big, but that's the one you love and you want to do breaks, you drop one hand in front, and then as it stops the hoop, the other hand comes in. Boom. Okay? And then this is kind of like a cool little sort of trivia question. Like, this is me breaking the hoop, but I'm not reversing it. So this is like an example where all breaks aren't reverses. It doesn't become a reverse until it goes around the other way. But if I break it and it just keeps going the same way, boom, okay? All right. So let's come up to the shoulders, since most of you probably can shoulder hoop. And if you're learning shoulders and you're not super confident in shoulders and you can't do it rooted, what you want to do is turn towards the breaking hand. We'll do what we call PM breaks. So I'm going to the left. I'm going to turn towards that hand, drop that foot, boom, right? I'm kind of looking down on purpose so that y'all can see sort of, boom. So I'm here. I'm going to bring my hand up, stop it. If you can keep that elbow close to the hoop, that's better than tucking it down here. In fact, we tried it in the HoopPath to get it all the way up here. Okay? Yeah. All the way up. So I'm here. So instead, not this. You see how this is cramming my elbows into me? Right? What we're going for is this. And to do that, we're going to get that width again. Boom, boom. Now I'm doing them back and forth, which requires a good throwback, right? But if I just want to do one at a time, boom, boom. All right, let's bring some music up. I know that was a long explanation, but I was trying to make sure y'all got it a little bit. Have I already played this? Did I play this already? No. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, so here we are. We're going to talk a little bit about breaks because they lead to paddles. So this is the breaks. And I'll throw in some different stuff so you can get a handle on it. Shoulder hooping, break. Now, if you always break and your hoop goes into earth angle, So this is what happens to some people. They start breaking, and then almost immediately, without even trying, they're in a rectangle. It's cool if you want to do that, but if you're doing that, if that's always happening, you don't have a choice, it means that your twist needs to be tighter. Your twist needs to be tighter back and forth, because what's happening is you're slowly just not putting enough on it, and you're relying on gravity, it landing, and you pushing it back up. So if I'm here, and I want to keep it nice and flat, I'm going to lean back, and then my twist is nice and tight. And this is where that flying move that we were doing really helps. All right, I'm guessing I'm not on Facebook. Those are PM breaks. Those are the hand that the hoop is coming towards. Again, day side, night side, or AM to PM. So if I'm doing this, then I'm breaking the hoop with the native hand, if that makes sense. This is me if I go across and do an AM break. And this is the hand comes across. Ignore this. The hand comes across, stops the hoop here, and it pushes the hoop back to you. So it's more like this. I stop the hoop and I pull it back to me. Stop the hoop and pull it back to me. So this is what it looks like. One of the really important things or cool things to focus on when you're doing these breaks and you're working on them, you don't have to keep doing them back and forth. Maybe they wear you out a little bit, so you just do one here and one there. But what helps is to focus on what kind of movement is the hoop coming back onto the body to. And so to really smooth out your breaks and paddles, it's like you imagine what is the movement of the core. And that's why core hoopers are really good at breaks and paddles. It's not so much because of their hands, although I'm sure that helps. It's like their body knows, it's like it's creating the perfect runway for that hoop to land on and keep going. All right. Okay, I don't know if I have anybody here or if I'm still live. Just in case, I'm going to check here. All right. Facebook's been grumpy with me lately. They kicked me off the other day. Okay, so let's see. Okay, cool. All right. If anybody is on Facebook specifically can let me know, that would be awesome. I don't have the internet to check everything. Okay, Kristen, thank you. Sweet. I'm glad you guys are here. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about paddles. Sweet. Nice. Okay, let's talk a little bit about... Okay, sweet, Rachel. Thank you. Okay, perfect. All right, I'll just keep going with this then. Okay. Okay, let's talk paddles, guys. You guys have been good. We'll free hoop after this paddle, and I think I will have hit... Yeah, I have hit almost everything except chi, actually. But let's talk just a little bit about paddles, and then I'll let it go. Just like with breaks, where I was telling you that if you could get your elbows higher, right, like higher to the hoop when you make the break, the paddle is very much the same way. And so if I hit my paddle with my elbow high and it pushes out, then it's much less likely to go down, right? So instead, just like with breaks, instead of tucking my elbows in like this, I'm going to push them out. I'm breaking out here, but I'm also paddling out here, okay? So it looks like this. When I want to come up, I'm going to do a very simple two paddle or double paddle. I'm here. I'm going to come up, and you can just, if you just want to practice this, you want to get some good pace on the hoop, right? And then bring your arms, your forearms up, and just let the hoop bounce across. Boom. This will help you. If you can't root and shoulder hoop, this is what it would look like. And actually, paddles are really fun when you're not rooted as well.
So, now.
Sweet, Kelly. I'm glad you're getting better at these. So this is the paddle, right? To paddle, it means I push the hoop with an arm. I guess you could say a leg, but we call that core, so that is not a paddle in HoopPath. Or the hands, the back of the hands. So a paddle is a push, and you're assisting its current. And if you're, been hooping a while and you want to be that mythic sort of hoop black belt, what you try to do in your paddles, like one way to work on your touch with them, is to try and catch the fish, right? So your paddle becomes a paddle stall, right? Instead of a paddle, right? See how it went? These are paddles. I'm pushing them back. A lot of people want to do paddles super fast. They don't have to be that way. It's better to get to learn one successful paddle than try to drum roll it immediately. I'll show you what I mean here. So these are my paddles. There's me catching the fish. Whoa. Uh-oh. We almost had an injury. All right, but these are the paddles. Now, one thing you can watch, and this might be a little geeky for you. Let's see. I'll try my close-up cam, see if this works at all. Okay. So this is me paddling. I'll just do it sort of close so you can kind of see what's happening. Right? Now, I'm doing rooted paddling. But it's more or less the same. The only thing is that's different. When I'm rooted, which means my feet aren't moving, then that means that my AM hand, the hand that the hoop is coming on today with, if I'm going to the left, my right hand, it kind of needs to push in the corner there, the opposite direction that the hoop is going, to help keep the hoop flat. Instead of pushing it out here, I've kind of learned how to do it, but in the beginning, you might have more success if I push out there. All right? But the most important part is that you want to push. Imagine this. You're trying to push a baby on a float to its parent. So you want to push it and get it there, but you don't want to scare the hell out of the kid, right? So we're here, and I'm going to give it, the paddles are just gentle pushes. They're paddles, right? I can make it look like I'm beating the crap out of the hoop, but that's not really what it is. Pushing that paddle through. And then, for there's higher belts of you, and you determine your belt, by the way, right? This isn't some elitist club, but you know where you are. And for those higher belts, you can do cool stuff with the paddles, sometimes the non-paddle is cool, where I sort of fake the contact. Offhand movement like we were working on last Thursday. So the secret to keeping it level, I don't know if they're still here, the one that asked, but is to not put more than necessary and to think directionally in your push, to push out, push out. any black belts are watching here, I can, use these paddles to angle hoop, and sometimes that helps you figure out how to keep it level by learning how to make it not level. This is me paddling. I'll show you what my arms are doing. Paddling into angles. All right, guys. I really appreciate the suggestions that you had. I hope I got to a lot of these, and I really do appreciate you guys joining me every week. We're gonna move into a free hoop now. I'll be checking comments if anyone's still here and wants to ask a question, but the class on Thursday is going to be paddles and lifts. It's kind of very similar to what we did. Not so much breaks, but paddles and lifts, and, dropping in. That can be a great way to learn core hooping. All right, we're going to end it with kind of some chill music. All right, thank you guys so much. This is a free hoop. No more teaching to...
When I first met you, I was mad at the world. Attitude did I hold you sissy when I became your girl. I see better days in our future. Rap like it's on the first anniversary. When I hit a word, baby, I know that it refers to me. Like a sip of water when I'm thirsty, quench my desire. Better call the fire department, cause our love's on fire. A love so pure and never tires. Like a dream waking up and it's real. Nothing compares to how I feel. I remember like it was yesterday. How we're taking each other from so far away.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate you joining me. Paddles and lifts. It was going to be fun. And the jams are just going to stay on Sunday. I love it when you guys swing by.
Just you, you and me, baby.
You got it. You're very welcome.
Me, baby, I'm driving you crazy. Just you and me, baby. You and me, baby. You're driving me crazy. Just you and me, baby. You and me, baby. Got a special thing going on, like a picture painted perfect within a song. We haven't done a lot of things just to get here. Missing each other like crazy weather far and near. Like a race car speeding fast, we in second gear. On the road to lovers land, happy to say I'm your girl and you're my man. Just you and me.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks, Jackie.
Like we supposed to be.
You guys are very welcome. I'm glad we got a little cool community developing here. It's super nice. I appreciate all the shares and the likes and support and all that sort of
Two
thing.
lovers intertwined. Now I must admit the journey's been long, but now we come together having so much fun. Let's let them know how we became one. Just you, you and me, baby. You and me, baby. I'm driving you crazy. Just you and me, baby. You and me, baby. You're driving me crazy. Just you and me, baby. You and me, baby.
Thank you, Amber.
You and me, baby, I'm driving you crazy. Just you and me.
Again, if anybody has any requests for future classes, I'm totally open. We'll do more of these. Next week, we'll stick to a theme.
Me crazy. Just you and me, baby. You and me, baby.
Be my boy, be my boy, be my
Sweet.
boy.
glad you're looking forward to it, Artful. I think it's gonna be fun. I love Paddles and Lives, and no matter what level you are, they're fun.
Be my boy, be my boy. I've been thinking about those things you said. I've been thinking about those things we did. I've been thinking about those things you do. I've been thinking about those things you made me do too. Be my boy, be my boy, be my boy, be my boy. I was hypnotized by your very eyes, like a tiger in the dark. You were hungry from the start. Be my boy, be my boy, be my
Sweet. Thanks for the donation.
be my boy. Diamonds, candy,
I appreciate
pills,
that.
$1 million bills. You can try, but you can't buy me, buy me. Diamonds, candy, pills, $1 million bills. You can try, but you can't buy me. You can slide, slide.
Sweet, that's great news. Eating the hoopie, that's great.
And no stop, I'll never be.
Kelly, thanks for being here. You're a rock. I
On my
appreciate it.
knees, you can slide, slide, slippity slide. You can hip hop and don't stop, 'cause I'll never be on my knees. When I saw you on the street, I just had to look away. You were so sweet, sexy steez, laid back, relax, street boy, please. Wait a second, it's gonna take a while. Slide, slide, slippity slide. You can hip hop and don't stop. I'll never be on my knees. You can slide, slide, slippity slide. You can hip hop and don't stop. I'll never be on my knees. I've been thinking about why you act so proud. I've been thinking about what's this shit about. Am I losing control? Am I losing my soul? Just tell me, am I losing you? Be my boy, 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 be my boy. Diamonds, candy, pills, $1 million bills. You can try, but you can't buy me. You can slide, slide, slippity slide. You can hip hop and don't stop, 'cause I'll never be on my knees. You can slide, slide, slippity slide. You can hip hop and don't stop, 'cause I'll never be on my knees. I've been thinking about, I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about, I've been thinking about losing you.
Okay, I'm not sure if anyone's here, but this will be the last song. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Kristen. Good night. Sweet, Richard. You joined us. Thanks, buddy. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you so much.